So what does cheap gas mean for EV drivers? Nothing. It means nothing. So just baseline, I'm going to answer the question why cheap gasoline doesn't matter for electric vehicle drivers and why it doesn't make us regret driving an electric vehicle because of the fuel costs. Imagine $1.50 a gallon gasoline and a vehicle that gets 26 miles per gallon, okay? So in essence, you're paying $1.50 for every 26 miles that you drive, just in the fuel costs. So how does that compare to, let's say, the average EV? So I'm comparing the cost it takes to drive that 26 miles, which is $1.50 for gasoline, to what it costs to drive that same mileage, 26 miles, in an electric vehicle. So for example, my Chevrolet Volt averages about 4 miles per kilowatt hour. We're going to use kilowatt hours for how we calculate this cost. So if you look on your electric bill, you're charged by the kilowatt hour. There's usually a per kilowatt hour price. Around here, it's like 11 point some cents. We're just gonna round to the 12 cents to make it fair. So to get the cost in electricity to drive 26 miles, you take 26, the miles you drive, divide that by 4 because you get 4 miles per kilowatt hour. 26 divided by 4 equals 6.5. So to drive 26 miles, I use roughly 6.5 kilowatt hours of electricity. Okay, so you take that 6.5 times 12 cents. And what do you end up getting? You end up getting 78 cents to drive that 26 miles. So just using that very simple example, gasoline would have to fall to around 78 cents per gallon to be cost equivalent to drive 26 miles. Now you can compare that to something that gets 40 miles per gallon, something that gets 15 miles per gallon, and essentially either it's going to get more even if you compare it to like a Prius, something that gets 50 miles per gallon, or it's going to be even a bigger cost savings if you talk about something that gets like 15 miles per gallon, like a lot of trucks and SUVs do. I just did the math on a 50 miles per gallon vehicle, and it actually evens out to $1.50. So you have to drive a Prius that gets 50, or something that gets 50 miles per gallon, and if you pay $1.50 for gas, that would essentially, I'd be able to drive that same 50 miles for about the same cost in electricity. Now, on the other hand, if you drove a truck or a big SUV or a bigger vehicle that gets 15 miles per gallon, you'd pay, gasoline would have to come down to 45 cents a gallon to be cost equivalent to drive that 15 miles. Okay, so going back to my original example, 26 mile MPG vehicle, $1.50 per gallon gasoline. God, I can't even talk. Now let's compare that to my Zero SR, my electric motorcycle, which is the most efficient vehicle that anyone drives around here. It just is. It's extremely efficient. So that averages about 10 miles per kilowatt hour. So we take our 26 miles, divide that by 10 miles per kilowatt hour. That gives us 2.6 kilowatt hours. Take that 2.6 times 12 cents per kilowatt hour, and you get 31.2 cents. So again, to be cost equivalent to drive for a car that gets 26 mpg, for fuel costs to be the same cost that I pay to drive my electric motorcycle into work or anywhere for that matter, gas would have to be essentially 31 cents a gallon. So there you have it in a nutshell why this cheap gasoline right now doesn't really affect EV drivers. We're still paying way less for our fuel to drive the same amount of miles that regular gasoline cars are. The ironic thing is that you can't go anywhere anyway. So like, gas is really cheap right now, but you can't, well, most people just can't drive in there, get in their truck or whatever, their van or car and go on a road trip right now. You just can't do it. So it's like, yeah, gasoline is cheap right now, but people really can't take advantage of that drive regular cars. But people with EVs that just charge in their garage anyway, we're still paying way less than everyone else is. Range is even less a factor now because the only places we're going to are the grocery store and back, and then to work and back essentially. So yeah, what cheap gasoline means for EV drivers? Nothing. It means nothing, really. That's my quick video for today. Like and subscribe if you haven't. This has been USMC Sax Okie. Smarter, simpler, more money. See you next time. Oh. Ugh. Glad that's over with. I think I'll ride my bike into work tomorrow.